Hey, it's Jasmine Wizard from Quite the Ordinary podcast with Moonlight and West. And today I am joined by a duo indie that is creating music to inspire change from within.
I feel like we're also at that point with music where we've have kind of a lot of different eyes on us, and it's just kind of like, it's great and it's fun, but like this point I feel like is the hardest point. You know what I mean? You're really trying to transition into doing music full time and like you believe in it so much, but it's like you gotta keep, you know what I mean? You gotta keep the engine running. And so you just gotta try and find a way to do it.
We always say it's part of the documentary.
Yeah, the 20.
We
say the 2029 Netflix.
Every time it gets
beautiful.
tough, we go, look, this is the part of the documentary where they say they were grinding.
He's
left
done
and
that
right.
so many times. Yeah, it's been 2 a.m. It's been 2 a.m. and I'll be at home and I'm like, man, like I want to go to bed now. And he'll walk in and he's like, man, I'm like, you okay, bro? How was work? He's like, don't worry, man. It's part of the documentary. Like, grab some water. I'm like, ah, cool. And I'm like, damn right. Like, so I love when he says that because I'm usually the manifester. So when he says that, I'm like, damn right it is.
Hey, it's Jasmine Wizard from Quite the Ordinary podcast with Moonlight and West. And today I am joined by a duo indie that is creating music to inspire change from within. They're promoting good vibes, self-love, and I love it personally. Please allow me to welcome YAZ.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. What a good intro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy you like it. Is it accurate?
Yes, it is very accurate. Yeah.
Incredible. All right, so you guys are a duo, but first I'd love to get to know you individually. So if you can go one by one by introducing yourselves.
So my name is Yasin, and I'm a 25-year-old singer-songwriter from Montreal, but originally born in Montreal, but originally from Morocco. And I've been in London almost 5 years now. And
The accent's still present.
the accent is still present.
We love-
and it's gonna stay. I can't catch the London accent.
You don't want it.
I've just tried like in it, yeah. Like that's the only thing I can do.
God.
That's the only thing I got to myself. Yeah, for real. That's the only thing I got. I'm sorry.
Krishna, I see your face already. Have you tried to teach him the London slang or it's just not working?
No, I just let him be. I think that's part of his charm. Just, you know.
And you guys have been a duo for how many years now?
I think we met like 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
It was like April 2021. We met each other. We were still at uni.
Yeah.
I was doing politics. He was doing economics, something like along those lines.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just at a park through mutual friends and see this big guy walk over.
I was much bigger back then.
He was much big back then.
I was about 105 kilograms. I was a thick man.
Oh, wow.
That's because I used to play American football.
Oh, so you're bulking up.
In Canada, yeah. So I used to be, before music, I actually used to do, I used to play D1 American football in college.
So D1?
Which means Division 1. So my initial dream was to be in
He's
the
saying
NFL.
top league. He's giving Premier League,
Well,
but
to be
make it American
fair,
football.
it was Canadian, yeah. So I don't want the Americans coming after me, yeah. But that was what I was way bigger. I mean, I was just chicken and rice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you miss that side of yourself, the sporty side?
No. I mean, I still do a bunch of sports and stuff, but I don't miss like. No, that's done.
All right, we'll
That's
get
in the
into it.
past. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Krishna, what's your past looking like? You're a sporty guy?
Oof, not really.
Has it always been music?
Not really either.
Okay.
So I'm from India. I was born in India, moved around a lot as a kid. So I lived in like Kuwait, Malaysia. And then like from the ages of 12 to 18, I was in Brunei. And then I came to the UK for university. The initial dream was to, I don't know, join the UN or an NGO or something. So that's why I was pursuing politics and so on. And then caught the music bug. I always played music. Like it was always an interest. It played a big part in my life because music was such an easy way to connect with people.
Yes.
Particularly when you're moving around so much. So it's always been a big part. And then met Yaz. He was like, oh yeah, I write my own music. I have all this expensive guitar equipment in my room. I was like, you know what? Why don't we just like jam together, play some music, make some money? You know, we can use it as, you know, weekend money. You know, go out for drinks or whatever. And then from there, it just took off.
Skyrocketed.
Yeah, we had like a one I remember our first jam session. It was just like love at first sight in terms of like catching guitar melodies and my lyrics. And like we just sat there and I was like, yo, we're doing this. And he's like, you're right. Like
It was giving bromance.
Yeah. But he was like, right, like let's just calm down. Yeah, it's our first time playing. But that's literally been the same. Like that's been the precedent ever since.
Oh,
like
wow.
every time I'm like, Wembley. He's like, let's get to Camden Club first. Yeah.
I mean, speaking about Wembley, you've been manifesting Wembley, and I know you have, because on your TikTok,
Yes.
your comment on your TikTok, your most viewed TikTok for that matter, actually, is "See you in 2026 Wembley."
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've been adding a couple years to that every time we get another year forward.
I don't think you need to.
No, I for me it's more. You know what? I'm just so big on like. I feel like everything comes from an idea, and like if you really believe in something, you know, whether it be like whatever it is, it's just up to you to make it happen.
Amen.
And I think like, you know, so many people, especially nowadays, like, you know, we see social media and stuff and people get lost in this idea of like, oh, how are they doing it and not me?
Yeah.
But it's like everyone just has their own path. But if you really believe in what you're doing, it doesn't actually matter. Like I just say that because for me, the ultimate goal is just to be able to do music forever. Wembley's on the list, but I just
Yes.
like to put that out there as something like the day that we get to do that will be just another check mark where we're like, cool, like, you know what I mean? Like we're making it happen. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, along the journey, I think like you have to take a step sometimes to realize how far you've come. And, you know, for us 2 years ago, we were playing at a pub every Thursday night, you know what I mean? Like beer spilling everywhere, and we were at a uni bar. You know, now we're on a podcast, and it's just like, it's really cool. I think it's like, it's humbling and it's like gratifying. And so the Wembley for me is like, just kind of,
It's
a
something
reminder.
that just it's a reminder
Yeah.
that you're doing the right thing. Like
It's
the music is powerful and people are resonating with it. That's all it is. It's not like
Yeah.
we played Wembley. It's like, okay, it's
The
the
next
right
step.
thing. It's the next step.
I just one thing that actually I was gonna say though about that Wembley thing, that actually in our bathroom every time I usually take a cold shower in the morning, but when he takes a hot shower, when he's done, I always go in. I'm like, Wembley 2025.
Really?
So our bathroom mirror looks ridiculous because there's just a bunch of off-key Wembleys like on the mirror, and I'm just like, yo, what is that?
It's a reminder. Is
Yeah,
what it is.
exactly. So yeah.
Do you know what, Yasin? I'm very happy to know that this whole positivity thing is not a facade. This is real life. The way that you're both speaking is very uplifting. It's giving me good energy. I'm listening to you speak and I literally feel like I'm a listener myself. I'm like, oh, I've actually got a job to do. I got to ask some questions because I am just endorsed by just your uplifted energy, you know?
Thank you.
Have you always been like that, or is it something that is recent?
I would say personally for me, I think I've always had a lot of energy. I've been since I was a kid. My mom used to tell me all the time, like before indie music, I was mad obsessed with Lil Wayne. Like Lil Wayne was my guy.
Really?
Like I'm talking Carter 3. I was 8 years old, bursting out every lyric. And my mom was like, what is this kid on? But like
He's on positivity.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so she was like, all right, like, I don't know. But at school, I used to get comments all the time. Like teachers were like, you know, your son is like a class clown.
Same.
But he means well, but like he has to tone down his energy.
He needs to focus in class.
Yeah. And then I think as I fell into music because in 2019, I really had a bad mental health year. And then like music ended up becoming this channel that I didn't know was there, but it always was, you know what I mean? And I fell upon it. And then I feel like my energy kind of like revamped in a whole new way. And it was like I could now express every ounce of energy. And so, yeah.
Incredible.
So, and then, yeah, Krishna.
And Krishna, what about yourself?
I mean, Yaz will tell us I'm very chill. I'm more of like it is what it is, go with the
Very
flow
much so.
kind of guy.
it's
like,
about the balance.
yeah, it's about the balance.
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. No, for real. That's actually what it is.
Like I never get worked up about it. Like if there's a setback, it's like, well, it's happened now. There's nothing you can do about it. What's the next step? So it's always like logical thinking for me. And I see music in sort of that manner as well. Like our music's like, it's fine to be worked up. It's fine to be sad, happy. Like you're allowed to have all sorts of emotions. That's just part of being human.
Yeah. That's the experience.
That's embrace it. That's the experience. Like don't let one thing define you. Like you can be many things.
I mean,
And
the
that's it.
balance between you two is genuinely beautiful. It's giving peace and joy. Like, have you watched Inside Out?
Yeah. That's the vibe.
I feel like we need a Krishna in Inside Out number 3, just giving peace all the way through. It's so beautiful to see. And have you always been a duo?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
so I started on my own. But it was like 2020. It was like when I moved. But I would say, yeah, we've always been a duo. Like what we have now, like when I was on my own, I was still figuring out my stuff with music. But when Krishna came along, like everything changed. We kind of were like, this is us.
Do you work with anyone else, or is it just the two
So
of you?
it's labeled as a duo, but we do have a band, and it's these two lovely guys, our good friends and our dear friends, Tony and Oscar.
Tony and Oscar, big up.
Tony, yeah, they're great. Like they've helped shape YAZ to be what it's become, and like without them, I think we would be down a different road at the minute.
They're our producers as well.
Yeah,
so
you
like
know what I
they
mean?
produced all our music that we put out.
We
so
wanted
far.
them to be officially in the
Yeah.
band, but they're so talented. Like it'd be selfish of us to keep them.
Aw,
So we
it's
let
all
them,
about perspective.
Yeah,
You see the way you just said that right there? That shit.
So we let them go off on their own ways. Yeah. But them two guys have really made us better musicians and better people. And so with like we label it as a duo, but when we get to play as a full band, everyone tends to know like, oh, Tony and Oscar, like, yeah. So those are our guys for sure.
Oh, that's incredible to hear. And your music is indie. Is that the way that you'd label it?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. In this day and age, when the people go like, "Oh, what kind of music do you play?" I'm like, I really don't know.
Initially,
Like,
we didn't have an answer.
Initially,
Yeah.
like it was like,
Yeah.
because we write so many songs. Sometimes they're super slow, like folky. Our new single, Tidal Wave, that's very pop,
Tidal
dance.
Wave.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big vibe. Love that
So
tune.
it's like we're sort of all over the place, and like trying to pick a genre is always so hard. So we say indie because everyone says indie, and it sort of covers a big spectrum of music. So like
I just
indie.
feel like indie because it's like lyrics. We like deep lyrics and
Yes.
nice, deep feeling melodies, and I feel like that's like the indie vibe. You know what I mean? It's
Do you know-
definitely- it's definitely our grime.
I love your lyrics. Who is it that leads on songwriting?
It's this man here.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I like to write quite a lot, and it's fun to just. My brain is. Yeah.
So lead vocals, lead songwriting. One lyric that I love, obviously it's the main chorus from the song Spark. All it took was a spark to ignite my heart. Oh my gosh, I love that lyric so much. What is it? What did it ignite your heart to do?
Okay, so I would say to explain, I guess, a bit of the process, it's more to spark that lyric. Essentially, was just like a positive uplift of like feeling like you can achieve what you want to achieve. I feel like a lot of the stuff for me that I write is more like when I'm writing, it's mainly just this idea of kind of like it's taken from experiences and people. Like I could be sitting down and like look at someone and be like, and create a whole narrative and then start writing. But like the narrative will tend to be like, if they're struggling, here's how they turned their life around, or like, and so I'm like really big into this idea of like breaking victimhood and like trying to do that through like, you know, we all go through stuff, and I feel like that's so okay, and that's you know, it's part of life. But I mean, like, you understanding that there's always a way to like you said, like the perspective, like change that for yourself. That's kind of where the song has come from. So whether it's about a person or myself, I think that's what I love most about the songwriting is that I don't always know. I just know that it's a mix of everything. Like it could be someone's experience. Like I'm sure after this there'll be something that comes from this podcast. Like it's just the way the brain kind of goes. And then I like to say that it's like sent from above, because I don't think I could be like, I didn't
Sent from above. Are you referring to a god, a higher power? What is it?
I personally believe in God, but I mean any higher power, like universe, the energy. Like I'm big on that stuff. Like I personally, my spirituality is like something that I thrive myself on, and like, you know, just the higher energy, the frequencies of like, you know, like for example, one thing is like if I wake up at 2 a.m. and I write a whole verse, I don't remember that I wrote it until later the next day, and then I wake up, and then when I look at it, I'm like, oh wow, I wrote that.
Crazy.
I don't know why that's happened. Like I can't say that I sat there whilst I was sleeping and I had this idea. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool. Like that's the power of music and the energy, and So
Wow.
Yeah, he's always writing. Like you'll be sat on the bus having a chat. You've been awfully quiet. And you look around, he's on his phone. On his notes app writing a song, you're like, oh, well, okay, he's out of action for the next 15 minutes.
that is true. Krishna has saved me a few times. He's told people before, if we were like with other people who don't know who we are, he's like, he's not being rude, like he's just writing, and then they'll like kind of look over, and I'm just like, oh, sorry, man, like what are we talking about?
Wow. Well, Krishna, you're a big support in that songwriting process and overlooking all of that. Your place in the duo, would you say that you're leading that musically in terms of playing the instruments, the guitar? I know you're very
Yeah,
talented.
so it's like, well, from a songwriting perspective, I'm sort of like spell check.
You're Grammarly.
I'm Grammarly, yeah, because he will sometimes find an interesting word, like say word of the day. You know how you get like toilet paper with word of the day? It's like he might have seen something and goes, I need to use that in a song, and he will use it, but it might not particularly be in the right context. And I'll go, maybe hold off on that and replace it with this, and it's like, you know, do little edits here and there.
Yes.
But from like a musical perspective, it's usually like he comes up with the lyrics and like sort of the basic chord progression, and then we sit down together, really work on the melodies and sort of maybe a guitar riff or maybe this, and it's like come up with ideas of where we want what to come in or how we want stuff to be played here and there, and then sort of flesh out the idea as much as we can, or as much as our skills will allow us to do, and then we take it to Oscar and Tony and we go, this is the song, these are the reference tracks, this is how we want it to sound, this is what it's all about. And then they use their infinite wisdom.
And then they just help enhance everything.
Yeah.
But Krishna really is like, for someone who's so at peace all the time, he really like has the emotional part of like adding to the lyrics and to the music. Like when he adds a riff, it's just like, that was deep. You know what I mean? Like, you feel that, and you're like, all right, cool.
Talking about getting deep, you love an analogy in your songwriting, I've noticed. Is that like accidental? Are you just a natural poet? Are you a visual person?
I'm a very visual person.
Yes.
I just kind of like, honestly, it's more like if I'm like meditating or if I'm like sitting outside or if I'm like observing something, I'm like, man, this feels like that. And like, it's just like, this is like a comparative feeling to this. And it's just kind of, I feel like, you know, sometimes analogies can help people just kind of simplify things. And also, I mean, it's nice to be deep, but sometimes people don't want something to be so deep. You know what I mean? Like people sometimes just want something that's like it can be deep if you think about it, but sometimes you just want to just say what you want to say and let people take it as it is.
Just go with the flow.
Because everyone has their own experience. So whatever they hear, we're saying what we feel. You know what I mean? But we don't expect you to feel a certain way. Like that's music. We want you to just take from it what you feel, what you will, and then we're here if you want to let us know.
Yeah,
please let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Like,
we tend to leave it quite ambiguous. Like I'm not a big fan of like very straightforward lyrics, because I feel like you make of it what you do. Like you know, so it's like the analogies just allows people to relate to it in their own personal way. Doesn't have to be what we meant, you know. That's the beauty of it. So we always tend to leave it quite ambiguous and like, and we also never really express what the song is about, like at least what we personally think, because we think it interferes with how people think of the song.
Sure, we don't want people to. That's something that he actually helped really narrow that down for me, because I was always so like, like this is what I'm feeling, but like Krishna did a good job of being like, but it's nice to let people just really have their you know what I mean.
Do you know what? I was just about to ask, and I would love to know. We have to give an exclusive to Moonlight and West of Quite the Ordinary podcast. What is your reaction from Spark? How do you react to that song personally? And Krishna, I'd love to start with you.
Spark. When you say reaction or interpretation?
Yeah, your interpretation.
So my interpretation of Spark was, I know YAZ wrote it quite ambiguously, but for me it was like sort of, it was at a crossroads for us, where the music started getting quite serious for us. So we just graduated from uni and we've gone, you know what, let's give this a go. Like it might be fun. If not, we can fall back on our degrees and go live our parents' dreams.
Yeah, be a politician.
Be a politician and whatnot. But then it's like, it was around March time, I think we wrote the song. It's where it really clicked. Like we got booked to play Ronnie Scott's. Our first single had just come out. The reception for that had been really good. We'd done our first professional photo shoot. We'd done a live studio session near Canning Town. And it was like, oh my God, this is really cool. And we're making connections with different managers, A&R reps, and so on. So it was like, it's really a love letter to the music, like not the music industry, but a love letter to that journey. Yes. It's like, this is quite exciting. You know, it's like, it's lit a spark in us and we really want to take this further forward and
It's a
see
little
where it
spark
goes.
in us, no pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
That was good.
That was good. That was fast. Wow.
And Spark has 174,500 streams, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
You know that number. That's so cool.
It's an
I didn't even
incredible
know that.
figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You must be so proud.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, it's
I mean, we have no idea how that happened. It's like it got playlisted, and then we were like, we just saw these. Like, I think it was the song was doing like well, and we were on it was like a big reunion of friends, and we were sat down in our friend's flat. And as you do, you open up Spotify artist analytics, just, I wonder how the song's doing. And suddenly it jumped up by like 5K streams. And I was like, yes, have you seen this? And then we all get really hyped. And then it's just been growing since then.
I remember we hit 100K and we were like, yo, that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
Like we looked at each other like, all right, good stuff.
It is a huge achievement.
It's cool.
But what is success to you, though?
Exactly. So I personally, and I don't want to speak for Krishna, but I feel like our minds are sometimes in one. But like the numbers don't really matter. We like, and we are gonna sound like these guys, but we really just want to connect with people. Like it's just a way of expressing, and like, you know what I mean. Like we want to be able to hopefully play in front of 100K people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that
Wembley pending.
You know what I mean? But the reason for that is not so much because we want to say that we've done that, but more just because we feel like that energy in that room with that many people can be so like majestic. Like it'd be so cool to see like everyone connected. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so whether it's 5 people or 6 people, we're just grateful to be able to do that. But like we just want to try and get the music out as far as it can go, because for us it's a way of sharing our experience, and you just never know who that can help.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
true.
So.
And Krishna, you touched on this earlier, playing at Ronnie Scott's just after graduating. That must have just felt absolutely epic. I wish I knew you guys at that time, because the way I would have bought my ticket fast.
No, that was crazy.
Knowing the music that you make.
That was unreal. Yeah.
Talk to me.
It was like, it didn't quite kick in. So we were like, Ronnie Scott's, yeah, cool. We rock up, and Oscar and Tony were there as well, and they'd studied music and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
We freaked out.
Tony was freaking out, and it's a big deal when Tony's freaking out.
Yeah, especially Tony,
He also calls it Rooney Scott's, which sort of it's sort of like, as we were freaking out, whenever he said the name, it sort of detracted from the excitement, and it was like, why are you saying that? But I think the moment it really clicked is after sound check, we went to the toilet, and you stood at the urinal. And above the urinal is a picture of all the people that performed there. And I had Tony Bennett in front of me. And
wow.
In front of Tony, it was Miles Davis, and some were like,
yeah.
oh.
I freaked out because I just watched the Miles Davis documentary not too long before. I was like, oh, no. Miles, I just seen you on freaking Netflix.
No, I would have dedicated a whole song to him,
Yeah, so we were stoked. Yeah.
But it's odd that's where it kicked in. Sound check, everything fine. And it's like when you stood in the urinal and you look at a picture and you go, oh, damn, we are playing Ronnie Scott's, aren't we? Yeah. It's like, yeah.
We didn't know actually we were headlining.
Yeah.
Really?
So we got there and the guy was like, this engineer, I forget his name, but he was really nice. And he was like, yeah, man, you guys are going last. And I was like, damn right. Going last.
As we should.
And so when the set was coming, like there was a line outside. People were like, it had been sold out upstairs. And obviously there were a few acts. So there was a lot of people in that room. And we were like, yo, this is crazy. Like, but obviously it was like, yeah, this is cool.
I can't imagine you were too nervous though, because you've done a lot of performances, like a lot of live performances.
I don't really get, it's not that I get nervous. I just get really excited.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I get to the main description I get is like golden retriever. So I'm just like on stage. I'm like, oh my God, like I just can't wait to just like get started. Yeah. I don't think we really get nervous. We're just like, I mean, it's also kind of like it's game time. Like when you're gonna play, like you focus up. You know what I mean?
You're ready.
Like you have to, just like you do anything, especially in arts. You know what I mean? Like you gotta. It's part of it is like when it's time to focus. Like you
get that from playing Canadian football.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But it's like, but you hit that flow state, and then you're going with it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you've performed at many places. Ronnie Scott, So Far, the Troubadour, Paper Dress Vintage. Like this is just name, like just top line things. Are there any performances in the pipelines which we can expect?
Not at the moment.
No.
So we are currently entering a phase of redevelopment, so to speak. So because like in the last 2 years, we've achieved so much.
Yeah.
But it's all been done very ad hoc, sort of like we have no experience in the industry, right? So it's just like, oh, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. But I think we've reached a point now where it's like, let's sit down, let's get a team together.
Yeah.
Let's set the foundations. Like, let's figure out what the visuals for YAZ are, what the ethos, what the roles, everything is. So that's what we're going to spend the next few months doing. Like, really set the foundations for success later on down the line.
I mean, I think we've already kind of started that process without realizing that we've started it. Like, it's not that so much like, as Krishna said, like it's just kind of harnessing everything that we've done, because it's hard to like put into words what you emit on stage. Like that's such a hard transition. Like, how do you show that as colors? You know what I mean? Like, how do you show that as words? And so like, we know what our music means to us and what we want to bring to people. But as we do that, like there will be for sure some shows every now and again, and we will say it as soon as we know it. But
Please
mainly speaking, but mainly like generally speaking, at the minute, it's just kind of like trying to really harness that idea and create that music so we can release it and hopefully.
I mean, speaking about releasing music, I am ready for the next one. And matter of fact, during your set at Troubadour, you performed Food for Thought, Good Hurt, Turning Into Feelings, Georgia, just a couple of unreleased songs, right? And for the guys that are listening, you can actually watch on their YouTube page if you want any unreleased tracks. It's a very, 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 very great performance. Are you going to release any of those songs at all? Or are you just sitting on them a little bit?
I would say there's a few that we are definitely going to release that we've been playing live. For sure, Hear My Echo is one of them that we've been playing at so far, and people have been really receiving it well. The song Ain't Show Me Love is something that's in the pipelines, and Turning Into Feelings is a nice crowd pleaser, and it's nice to be able to connect that with the crowd. But we're not sure if we want to release that yet. We honestly we have a lot of music that we gotta do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're sitting down and kind of looking through that over the next couple of weeks and just deciding.
I will say, from a selfish point of view, Turning Into Feelings and Food for Thought were up there with my favorites.
Nice.
Those were up there. I listened, I rewind, I listened again. It was good. Such a great song.
Turning Into Feelings is such a fun song to play. That's the thing. It's like it's the back and forth with the audience, and there's just this energy in the room when that song starts. And you just know you're gonna have a good time for the next 7 minutes. It'll come out at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Krishna, you're not convincing me. You're like, maybe.
No, I don't have
maybe.
to. You know, what'd be cool is if we can do it, but record it with like a live version of it. See what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be a studio version. I think it'd be a live version with the crowd involved, so that you can really try and capture that feel.
The magic is with the
audience.
That's the thing. That's the thing with the song.
I love that. And you love a live performance, but you also love an acoustic version.
Yes.
I love the acoustic versions of your songs. They're incredible. The most recent one being Tidal Wave.
Yes.
Beautiful background. I mean, the sun setting.
Yeah, that's our boy Johnny.
Yeah.
That's his. Yeah, Johnny has a cool terrace. We saw that with like Johnny. We're gonna record there.
It was giving, and then even recording in the park as well, where the greenery was just surrounding you. It's peaceful. Do you do that intentionally, recording acoustic songs, or did you just happen to do it?
Firstly, the songs are written all acoustically because it's just me and YAZ. It's just me on the acoustic guitar, words. That's how all our songs are written, and we like genuinely believe if the song is strong acoustically, then it will be strong.
Truth.
Like regardless of what kind of production's done to it. As far as the backgrounds for the performances go, I think we're nature people. Like I know we've been in the city for 5 years, but it's like we will find any and every excuse to get out and like spend time in the countryside.
I just need some water.
It's just water, hills, mountains, whatever. Like put us there. Yeah. So it's like when we perform the acoustic versions, it's maybe subconsciously we're thinking it's like, oh, let's do it in a park, let's do it with a sunset, let's do it with this or that, because we just want to sort of capture the beauty in the world.
It sets the mood as well. Kind of like, you know, when you listen to something and you're just kind of like, you look at the view, you're like, oh yeah, I could listen to this. Or even if if you're going camping or hiking or anywhere, and you usually tend to listen to like a softer song when you're sat down in nature. You're not listening to like Skrillex, you know what I mean? You're listening to something that has like 2 instruments and 1 instrument, and you're just feeling it out.
It's relaxing.
So that's kind of what we try and evoke.
I feel like the nature and you guys just resonate hand in hand. It's just peaceful, it's calm, it's graceful. It's exactly how I would describe the way that your music makes me feel like. I love it so much. Looking towards the future now, how would you like to evolve your music?
I guess it's kind of just right now being able to find a way to really just capture the energy of again, like what we do live in the songs. And so I think Tidal Wave was actually a good example of that. Like Tidal Wave really was like uplifting and like, you know, it was like this message of like understanding to be present and within the moment, and like, but then there's this really upbeat thing that's coming behind it. And so it doesn't feel so like, oh, you know, if we only had this, like we're more kind of like, if we only had this, and like, that's kind of what you want. But with each song, I think each song is its own journey. And with that being said, like, to evolve this year as we create more music is to make sure you're capturing what that song's journey is. You know what I mean? Like making sure each song is its own story and not and capturing that emotion of the song, why you wrote it, and then making sure the elements that are inside are as crystal clear.
And I hear lots of, well, I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing Coldplay resent.
That's the biggest compliment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah? Am I
He's
correct
about
in
to
thinking
start
that?
tearing up. Don't get him started.
I see the resemblance.
There's Lil Wayne and then there's Coldplay. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
I feel the Coldplay resemblance in there.
Okay, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we actually bonded over Coldplay. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So Coldplay was
Really?
the first. It was the Russia Blood to Lay Head album. That's the first ever album I bought with my own money.
The Scientist.
And I love that album to
Wow.
bits. And it's like there's songs of like it's a cool way to like. I don't know. In the UK, people don't really appreciate Coldplay. Maybe you say
I love-
Coldplay, they go.
Nah.
Yeah, I hear a lot of
But-
people who do,
yeah.
who don't.
Really?
And I'm like, guys, like if you just sit down for a second, like I personally think, from someone who only grew up listening to rap, okay, I think that The Scientist by Coldplay is the best song. Like it's my favorite song of all time.
It's
100%.
exceptional.
It's like it's great music, but internationally, like I always found Coldplay was a great way to connect with people. Like
Yeah.
most of my friends are big Coldplay fans. We've all been to Coldplay gigs. We all sort of geek out about it. So when I met him, it was like just casually drop Coldplay just to test the waters. It's like, what's this guy like? Is he cool? And he like started freaking about Coldplay. I was like, okay, nice.
Coldplay was the vibe
Yeah.
check.
You know what it
It's
is,
the vibe
actually.
check,
You know what it is
exactly.
from Coldplay that I think we really are trying to make sure we learn from them and do is you see, like their music is a community feel. And so for us, I would say our music it's about connecting, but more than that, it's creating a community. See, it's like super inclusive. Like no matter who you are, where you're from, how you look, like it doesn't matter. It's just like everyone's in this room connecting, like, and it's like free of everything. And it's like that moment, if you can capture that moment, I mean, you've done like, you know what I mean? That's a magical moment. Like, cause there's so much always going on and so much negativity always going on. But if you can be kind of that force to be able to help people in that moment, like feel free. I mean, that's like, you know what I mean? Like anyone, that's the best feeling. Like, and to us, when we can achieve that, we feel like super thankful because that's like what we want. You know what I mean? We want you to be in the room and feel like, all right, cool. Like I feel happy. Like I can go home.
Yes.
One of the nicest compliments I personally always tell the guys that we've ever received was a young lady came up to us after a show and she said, you know, your music is like Coldplay, but it really feels like more than anything, it feels like a warm hug. I was like, yo, if that is not the compliment of the year, like a warm
so
hug.
nice.
I said that image. I'm like, anytime someone describes what music feels like, I'm like, it's like a warm hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He then went home and wrote a song about a warm
Yeah.
hug. Yeah. He's just stuck in his head.
I had to. It's only right. Like it's bound to happen.
Honestly, a dedicated song to that young woman that came up to you after that show called Just a Warm Hug. Yeah, I see it. And Coldplay, they have like a whole, after they performed somewhere in Spain, they created like a song from like each of those live performances and they made it into like almost like an album, just the live
Yeah.
performances. Is that something that you guys can envision for yourselves?
Most definitely.
Yeah?
It's actually, those live performances, albums are my favorite albums from them.
Yeah,
Because
same.
you hear the energy from the crowd. They're singing back.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something we'll definitely.
When I'm
listen to.
cycling, I listen to the Yellow live from 2012. The best video that actually, and I don't usually cry, but the only video that can make me cry is that Scientist live video in Spain, 2011. You watch that? Tell me you're not tearing up. It's insane. You see people, the crowd, the energy. I'm like, oh my God. Like you feel like you're there. And that was 2011. So.
Scientist Live in Spain. I'm going to be watching that.
Unreal. Unreal.
I'm looking forward to it. So let's go back to the sports now, Yasin, right?
Yes.
We've talked about Canadian football. You're talking about cycling. Food for thought was written on your way to an MMA training session.
Yes.
This is crazy. You do a lot.
Yes. So I long story short,
Go for it.
I would say I train. I train a lot. I think most people think I train in it like a psychopath, but it's just mainly because I've been doing it since I was 10. And so like, I am a big believer, just like in music, like I for me, it's like you put your mind on the edge. Like training for me is like a way of discipline. Like you train because you know that it could be the hardest thing you do that day, and everything else that comes afterwards, you can handle. And I feel like that's like, for me, training is a way of thinking of like, so it creates like the difference between a bad day and a bad moment. You see, like people can sometimes say like, you know what I mean? People are like, oh yeah, it's like, I don't usually see you have like, are you ever sad? Like, you never have a bad day. I'm like, it's not that I don't have bad days. I just think generally because of stuff like meditation and training as aggressively as I do, which I don't think everyone needs to do.
Yeah.
But the idea is that like, that then creates this idea where if something goes wrong, I'm like, all right, cool, we can handle it.
Yes.
Let's move forward and take care of the rest of the day. Because if that's my last day on earth, like, I'm like, I don't want to be stuck in something about, I don't know, getting overcharged by 2 pounds. Like, whatever, things happen. Keep it moving. You know what I mean? So it's this idea of kind of like, for me, training is challenging, and martial arts, I've been doing a lot of Muay Thai, and it's helped me kind of transition from American football to, obviously, because you need contact. It sounds so boyish to say this, but like, when you go from hitting people your whole life, you need something else. Like, I just go start writing music and like singing songs. Like, as much as I love doing that, I need something like as an outlet. And so Muay Thai and MMA and like lifting weights and just kind of challenging my mind and seeing what my body can do. It's allowed me to do that. And so, yeah, now I teach as well at F45, and it's a blast to be able to do that and kind of then do music.
I mean,
two spheres.
Just to put it to perspective, so this morning we were going off doing some content shoot, right? So we're meant to meet at 11. I hear him leave that flat at 9. And then get a message saying, okay, no, the content shoot's been moved forward by 45 minutes. Most people going to the gym at this moment would look at that text and go, yeah, okay, maybe I should head back, get showered, and we'll go. This man took it like a challenge. He goes, 50-minute workout, I'll compress it in 30 minutes.
No, the guy at the reception, he always sees me. He's like, "Yes, what are you doing today, man?" And I was walking out. He's like, 38 minutes, you good, man? You good? I was like, yeah. So I darted out the door. I went right back to the flat. And I was just like, I was in the street cycling. Yeah,
You're dedicated.
It is a bit much, I would say, but it feels good, you know.
If it works for you, that's the most
works.
important
You know
part.
what I mean? Yeah, you just gotta find your balance.
Yeah.
My balance is a bit. Yeah, I guess you said the balance, yeah?
The balance.
The balance.
Exactly.
Krishna, what about you? What do you like doing outside of music?
Outside of music, I don't work out that much. He works out so much, I feel exhausted. So
I work out for the both of us.
Yeah, he does it for both of us. Outside of music, I mean, I quite like running. Running is like, I find it incredibly therapeutic. Like, it's just you, your thoughts.
Are you part of a run club?
No, I prefer to run on my own.
Okay.
I don't because it's a moment to myself. Like, I'll set off on a run and I'll just go for miles and miles and miles, and then come back and I'll get like, oh wow, okay, I've done 8K. I didn't even know that was possible. Running, and then other hobbies include, honestly, it's just such a busy life at the moment between music and work. Yeah. It's like the time we do get for ourselves, it's spent meeting up with friends and so on.
Yes.
We're also at that weird point in time where everyone's got jobs. So it's...
Do you find it incredibly hard to meet up with your friends? Because the way I need to meet up with my friends is I need to send a Google Calendar invite. It's actually long.com. It's like setting a meeting.
You know what? You're not wrong, though. We kind of do that.
It is tough.
And our chat is kind of like dates.
It's like you put a prompt on the chat and everyone responds and with it like at a different time. Yeah. And then suddenly someone says something else and suddenly you forget that the prompt was there. Yeah. So it is a bit of a pain trying to organize something. But it's always gratifying that when everyone comes together and catch up, it's just like good vibes.
We have that in a couple of weeks. I think at the beginning of September, we're going away to Devon with some good friends of ours that we really care about. And it's just kind of like, it's nice to be able to have those few days. Because, yeah, he's right. We are very busy with our day-to-day. It doesn't seem like we get much alone time. So I think hence like the discipline of like trying to do things in the morning for yourself, the gym, because like I feel like we're also at that point with music where we've have kind of a lot of different eyes on us, and it's just kind of like it's great and it's fun, but like this point I feel like is the hardest point. You know what I mean? You're really trying to transition into doing music full time, and like you believe in it so much, but it's like you gotta keep, you know what I mean? You gotta keep the engine running, and so you just gotta try and find a way to do.
We always say it's part of the documentary.
Yeah, the 20.
Every
we say the 2029 Netflix.
Every time it gets tough, we
beautiful.
go, look, this is the part of the documentary where they say they were grinding.
He's
left
done
and
that
right.
so many times. Yeah, it's been 2 a.m. It's been 2 a.m. and I'll be at home and I'm like, man, like I want to go to bed now. And he'll walk in and he's like, man, I'm like, you okay, bro? How was work? He's like, don't worry, man. It's part of the documentary. Like, grab some water. I'm like, ah, cool. And I'm like, damn right. Like, so I love when he says that because I'm usually the manifester. So when he says it, I'm like, damn right it is. Like 2 a.m.
I can envision like interviews with. So I work at a bar in Balham. I can envision interviews with the regulars going, yeah, Krishna's a hard worker.
Yeah.
You know this, and like interviews with his colleagues going, yeah, Yaz was grinding whilst doing the music.
Yeah.
And so like. You know,
we can see it. You know, we can
so.
feel it, and so like I feel like it's we're not doing ourselves any favor if we don't try and chase this dream.
Of course, it's there, guys.
And we're living it.
You're just aligning yourself.
Yeah,
with
we're
it.
living
Soon
it now.
come.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, incredible stuff. And the duo name YAZ, is that coming from your name, Yazin?
So this is such a good question. I want to make it clear to everyone.
We're making it clear on Quite the Ordinary podcast.
So
with Moonlight
initially, I started as it was just in myself, so I was like YAZ. But then when we came together, whatever, like we wanted to. I said I really didn't mind switching the name because I was like I don't want it to make it seem like it's a selfish thing. But then as we kept finding out more and more about the music and the like what it meant and Tony, Oscar, and Krishna and I we all sat down and we were kind of like, all right, like you are Zen. That was the acronym. Like we were trying to preach this idea that each individual has this Zenness in themselves, and no matter how unbalanced they might be in that moment, like deep down, everyone does have this natural state of calm that you can reach. Once you surrender and let go, you can find that peace within yourself. And so Yaz became You Are Zen, and so we started preaching this idea of like You Are Zen. I was like, so you guys want to keep Yaz? I'm like, they're like, let's keep it. So we kept with Yaz because it actually works with what we're trying to preach.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. So
that's blown my mind.
Yeah.
You are Zen.
Yeah, it's like letting you know what you are. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's it. Honestly, exclusive for Quite the Ordinary podcast with Moonlight and West. I'm very happy you have spoken it here.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
No worries. Thank you for asking. That's a good question.
And you've got 4 songs that are officially out across Spotify and YouTube. So that's Tidal Wave, Love is Art, Spark, Beauty Hidden in Pain.
Yep.
From those 4 songs, which one of those do you feel most proud of and like you want to share most to the world? If you could recommend one to the listeners right now, which one are you saying this is the one to listen to understand
each
Yaz?
one was a big milestone for us. So for me, I'd say Tidal Wave. I think that's the one I'm most proud of at the moment because going into producing that song, the song was written about a year ago today. A year ago today. That's when the first demo came out.
A year ago today?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Something along those lines,
last week or so, something like
so
that.
it's like that's when
happy anniversary, Tidal Wave.
Thank you.
So that's when I got my first. That's when I was in Peru and I received the first demo of the song, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure where this is going. I'm not particularly sold on it." And we worked on it, and then decided we'd make it a dance tune, which was a really daunting experience because we'd never done dance tunes before. We didn't even know if that was a direction we wanted to go in. It's like, where do you even begin? Like, we have no idea how to play the piano or the synths and stuff. It's like, what goes on? But we had visions and we're like, half the challenge was us communicating what we wanted to Oscar and Tony without any of the actual jargon that they use in music production. I was going, no, we want the noise. It's like, what does that mean? But we got there in the end. And then the demo came out and then we were like, okay, it sounds too electronic. We need some organic elements. So went in and it's like, I think this is one of the first times I like really took charge on a session It was like a big moment for me. It was like, look, it needs a guitar, electric guitar. And I think these are the bits that it needs. And we went in and it did a whole session on just electric guitars, leading it. And it was like, and then Tony worked his magic and gave us another demo. It was like, wow.
Yeah, Tony knocked it out the park. Tony was unreal. Yeah.
But I think it was like all of us had reached a little flow state and we were working at such a high level. It's like the last 3 songs were learning experiences, and then we'd come into this one with, right, we know some basics about music production. Let's put it all together. And we also found the confidence within ourselves to like really go, I don't like that. That's not the way forward. I don't like this, that. So it's like people were taking strong positions on the song, and what came out was like, damn, I'm good. I'm glad that's the way it went.
Yeah. I would say for me, honestly, it was just Love is Art. I think Love is Art mainly if you're into like singer-songwriter stuff. Like I feel like lyrically we did such a good job as a team to come together and put it like together, and the melodies and the harmonies, the BVs, it really feels like connective in that sense. And like I feel like it's just really relatable to a lot of people, and I just I think Love is Art. It has like a nice feel to it, like the lyrics and everything, and the vocals, the way Tony mixed the vocals for it to all sound nice with Oscar's BVs. It was, to me, Love is Art is the magic.
I love Love is Art as a song, but also the artwork for Love is Art. I love that. You've all got drinks in front of you. Matter of fact, you've got a tea, Yasin, and then Krishna, you've got a beer in front of you?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? What inspired that?
We were just trying to catch potential different moods that we'd be in.
It was honestly, it was, so the idea was, I had this like brainwave. I was like, it's Love is Art. We're going to put it out during like around Valentine's.
Yeah.
What if we did something like a singles dating event?
Yeah.
So we were all sat on one side, and the other side, people like every minute someone moves on to the next table.
Speed dating.
Speed dating, yeah.
Got you.
So I was like, that'd be a cool place. And then we did it at my bar as well. So we sat down there.
Right before he opened.
Yeah, right. So it was like right before we opened as well. So we came in earlier in the morning. It's like, guys, we're on a time limit. Stuff needs to get done before the customers come in. So I sat down, and we were like, okay, this is an opportunity for us to really like express our own personalities and also the different kinds of moods someone would have in speed dating. So you have like, I always drink beer. Like that's my drink of choice, right? So it's like, I've got a beer in front of me.
Yes.
Tony is French. So it's like obviously red wine.
Red wine, yeah.
Like YAZ treats his body like a temple. So nothing but tea.
Yes.
And then you have Oscar with like
tequila shots,
and he's looking quite dejected. Like, it's like, okay, that's the guy the speed dating hasn't gone well for.
So we just gave him that. He loved it though. He was embracing that role.
Oh, good. I mean, you guys acting in that photograph, like the emotions on your face were very clear. So very creative. Are you behind that then?
Yeah, I tend to.
I would say Krishna's. Has
I usually
awesome
see like
brain.
songs as not just the song. I'm really into sort of creating a concept behind the song and like the art and the videos and stuff like that. So like with Tidal Wave, it's like as soon as we figured out, it's like be present in the moment. I was like, long exposure shots. We're still, and the city's in movement around us.
Gotcha.
And let's push that forward. So it's like, I like to see it as a whole cohesive thing rather than singular elements.
Yes. Yeah. So is Tidal Wave a metaphor for something then?
Well, it's just it's the idea of being present, and it's the idea of like Tidal Wave is just meant to be like there's every wave that's about to come, like you're gonna be able to handle it, and it's just kind of like that's the idea of like you kind of there's like a storm that's coming, and then you prepare for that storm. The storm will happen, but then you prepare because then the next one's gonna come through, but you're gonna ride that one out as well, and you'll be okay. And like it's this idea of like by staying present, you can handle whatever wave is coming your way. And ideally ride the wave instead of like crash and stumble into it. And so by being present and just soaking it all in, that's kind of the idea behind Tidal Wave.
Honestly, that was genuinely such a beautiful explanation.
Thank you.
And it's going to perfectly lead us into the next part of Quite the Ordinary podcast of Moonlight and West. It's a part of the podcast where I get a binder. And in this case, it's our first duo on Quite the Ordinary podcast with Moonlight and West. Yes. And what we're going to do is have you write down one of your favorite quotes from your discovery. So from the 4 songs that are officially released.
Okay.
Your favorite quote.
Okay. Easy.
You ready?
Song that's released. I mean, 100%. Tidal Wave.
Thank you.
We write such good songs.
You do. You do. All right, pick a colour,
Yeah,
guys.
all right.
You're lucky you've got each other as well, you know, because our other artists really have to come up with these things by themselves as
Are
solo
we writing
artists.
two or just one between?
We
I
can-
think
two of
one
us?
each.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
You know, we can just finish. We'll do the. It's a beauty hidden. In the
Well, I mean, I know what line I'm choosing.
You know?
So,
All right.
also, it should be noted, I don't know the lyrics for most of our songs.
Really?
Like, yeah, I can give you the chords, everything, like left and right, what each instrument's playing. But as soon as it comes to words, it's like, I don't know.
No. You're only there during the process of
Yeah.
it being
Like
made.
our friends come up and go, well, what does that line mean? I'm like, what does it mean? They go, no, it's part of your song. He's like, is it? It's like, yeah, it plays here. It's like, oh, that's true. It does play there, yeah.
Use your imagination, whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah. That was. I enjoyed that.
That was a nice experience.
Well, actually, I used a song from our first ever release, "Beauty Hidden in Pain."
You what?
The lyric that I wrote was the, it's the beauty hidden in the pain.
Oh.
Yeah, I wrote it's the beauty hidden in the pain that makes me rise up again. The comfort in knowing who I am, knowing it's all part of the plan. I feel like
Just for that.
I
Just
feel
for
like
that.
I just felt like that was
That's beautiful.
that was
the one.
yeah. I
You
mean,
felt
from the
it.
songs that we released, yeah. That song was our first ever release, but I remember writing that chorus and I was like, that's deep. I like it. I like it. I like it.
I like it.
I felt very connected to that chorus. I was like, that's cool.
There we go.
And what
Mine's
about
the-
you, Krishna? What's
It's
yours?
the first 3 lines of Tidal Wave. I love this. If we only had this life, if we could live it twice, what would it be like?
Beautiful.
It's a thought provoker. You know, you just sit within, like, let it marinate.
Yes. Wow. Gotta give that a round of applause. That's incredible, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold that up in front of the camera so everyone can see the greatness, the favorite quotes from YAZ.
Thank you.
YAZ.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you,
having
yeah.
us. This is so cool.
This was very cool for me. Thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us. I hope you enjoyed your time at Quite the Ordinary podcast with Moonlight and West. And we are looking forward to hearing you at Wembley.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for having us, yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right.